The sun was low on the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of apricot and lavender. The world was quiet here, not silent, but filled with the kind of sounds that never hurried. The rhythm of the ocean, the whisper of wind through tall grass, the faint cry of a gull far away. The little house by the sea had stood on this cliff for decades, its white paint faded by salt and years of sun. Yet there was a certain grace in its age, a softness that made it seem like part of the landscape itself. Its windows reflected the sea's color, its roof caught the gentle breath of the wind, and at night, the waves sang it to sleep. Inside, the air smelled faintly of wood and rain. A kettle whistled quietly on the stove, and beside it, a woman named Lena poured herself a cup of chamomile tea. She moved slowly, with the quiet rhythm of someone who had learned to live in time with the sea. The days here were simple, and that was the point. The world beyond the cliffs was full of noise, endless, restless motion. But here, time stretched like the tide. Lena carried her cup to the porch. The wood was cool beneath her bare feet. She sat down in her favorite chair, the one that creaked just enough to remind her it was alive. Below, the sea shimmered. It was a calm evening tide, the kind that barely touched the rocks before retreating, like a heartbeat against the earth. The waves were soft and slow, a lullaby written in water. The first stars began to appear above the horizon. They blinked shyly at first, then more boldly, dotting the vast canvas of deepening blue. She sipped her tea and closed her eyes. The steam curled upward, the warmth wrapping around her like a sigh. The sound of the waves blended with the rustling of leaves, the distant hum of the evening. She could feel herself letting go of the long day, of thoughts that clung too tightly, of the need to do anything at all. For now, it was enough just to be. There was something deeply soothing about the way night arrived here. It didn't rush in like in the city. It unfolded gently, step by step. The air cooled first, the breeze carrying the scent of salt and pine. Then the colors of the sky deepened, gold into pink, pink into blue, blue into velvet. The first sounds of night creatures began to stir, the chirp of crickets, the low hum of unseen insects, the soft shifting of the grass. And then, just before true night fell, came the most magical moment, the moment when the world seemed to pause. The waves slowed, the air stilled, and everything, for a heartbeat, seemed to listen. It was in that silence that Lena felt most alive. She thought of how long it had taken her to find this peace. Years ago, she had lived in a city where the sky was always glowing, but never with stars. Nights there were filled with the hum of traffic, the flicker of screens, and the pressure to always do. Here there was nothing to prove. Here, the days began with sunrise and ended with the sea. She had come to this place seeking quiet, and instead, she had found something deeper. She had found stillness. Stillness that wasn't empty, but full of life, sound, and the breath of the world itself. Lena leaned back in her chair and watched the last streaks of sunlight fade. The horizon turned silver. A faint mist began to rise from the sea, wrapping the rocks in dreamlike haze. Somewhere behind her, the kettle clicked softly as it cooled. A candle flickered in the window, its light warm and golden against the gathering dusk. A single thought drifted through her mind, gentle as the wind. Maybe peace isn't something we chase. Maybe it's something that finds us when we finally stop running. She smiled to herself, the kind of small, tender smile that comes not from happiness, but from quiet understanding. The waves continued their endless song, in, out, each one softer than the last. The stars brightened, their reflections trembling on the water's surface. The world was falling asleep around her, and she could feel herself following. Her breath slowed, her heart softened, her mind, once busy and tangled, began to drift like a feather on the tide. There was no rush, no plan, only the soft music of the sea and the night. In the distance, a lighthouse beam swept across the waves, slow, measured, kind. Its light touched the horizon, then returned again, steady as the heartbeat of time. The sight made Lena's eyelids grow heavier. She took one last sip of tea, set the cup aside, and leaned back fully in her chair. The sea murmured, the stars blinked, the candlelight inside flickered once, then steadied. And all at once, the whole world seemed to breathe with her a single, deep, calming exhale that said, "You can rest now." The night had arrived completely. It was soft and endless and full of quiet promise. Lena stayed there for a while longer, half awake, half dreaming, listening to the rhythm of the world. Each wave whispered something only the heart could understand, a language older than words, older than time. When she finally stood and went inside, the sea kept singing to her, through the walls, through her dreams, through the quiet space between each breath. And as she drifted toward sleep, the last thing she heard was the sound of the ocean, whispering gently beneath the stars. Morning came softly, not with noise or rush, but with a slow unfolding of light. The sun rose behind a pale veil of clouds, casting the sky in muted gold. The sound of the ocean still lingered, steady and familiar, but gentler now, like it too was waking slowly. Lena opened her eyes to the cool hush of dawn. The sheets were soft against her skin. The air smelled faintly of rain and salt, and through the open window, she could hear the whisper of the waves greeting the day. For a long time she stayed there, not moving, just breathing, listening. There was something sacred about mornings like this. The world wasn't asking for anything yet. It was simply there, waiting, kind, patient. Finally, she sat up, stretching her arms above her head. Her body moved slowly, as though it had learned the rhythm of the sea itself. She smiled faintly and whispered to the morning, "Thank you." After a small breakfast, warm oatmeal, a drizzle of honey, a few slices of peach, Lena decided to take a walk. She wrapped a light shawl around her shoulders and stepped outside. The air was cool and wet, carrying the freshness of rain that had passed in the night. The grass sparkled with dew. Every blade seemed to hold a tiny world of reflected light. Down the hill from her cottage, a narrow trail led toward the forest, the Whispering Woods, as the locals called it. No one really knew how the forest got its name. Some said it was because of the wind. Others believed it was because if you stood still enough, you could hear the trees murmuring to one another, ancient voices woven through the branches. Lena smiled at the thought. It felt true in a way that didn't need to be explained. The path began at the edge of a meadow, where wildflowers swayed lazily in the morning breeze. Bees hummed softly between the petals, and the air was thick with the scent of earth and pine. As she entered the woods, the world changed. The light dimmed, not dark, but soft, filtered through a canopy of green. Shafts of sunlight slipped through in thin golden threads, illuminating the mist that lingered near the ground. Each step Lena took made a quiet sound, a rhythm of her own footsteps mixing with the gentle song of the forest. A whisper, not quite a voice, not quite wind, just a gentle, endless hum, as though the forest itself were breathing. Lena slowed her pace. Her fingertips brushed the bark of a nearby tree. It was cool and rough, and she could feel the life within it, a slow, quiet pulse that matched her own. Everywhere she looked, there was softness. The way moss curled around the roots, the way sunlight shimmered through droplets of rain, the way everything seemed alive but at peace. She followed the sound of the stream until she found it, a ribbon of clear water winding between stones. It sparkled like glass, and tiny fish darted just beneath the surface. Lena crouched down and dipped her hands into the water. It was cold, refreshing, pure. She cupped a handful and let it slip through her fingers, watching as it rejoined the stream. There was something humbling in that, the reminder that everything in nature flowed, nothing held on too tightly, nothing rushed. The stream didn't need to know where it was going. It simply moved, and that was enough. After a while, Lena found a fallen log beside the stream and sat down. The forest stretched endlessly around her, green and gold and quiet. The air vibrated with life, but it wasn't loud. It was the kind of sound that filled the soul instead of the mind. She closed her eyes and listened. The wind brushed through the branches, soft as a sigh. The water whispered its song, and beneath it all, the steady rhythm of her own breath, in, out, matched the music of the woods. Time passed without notice. There was no clock here, no rush, only the endless unfolding of the moment. When she finally opened her eyes again, the forest seemed even more beautiful. The light had shifted, deeper now, warmer, and the air smelled faintly of pine and rain-soaked earth. As she stood to leave, she noticed something carved into the side of the log where she had been sitting. The letters were worn by age, covered slightly by moss, but still readable. It said, "Rest a while. The world will wait." Lena smiled. The forest had offered her its message. She took a deep breath and whispered softly, "Thank you." Then she began the slow walk back, following the sound of the stream until it faded behind her. As she neared the edge of the forest, the light brightened again. The ocean breeze met her, carrying the scent of salt and memory. The meadow was waiting, glowing in the late morning sun, alive with color and gentle movement. She paused there, looking back at the line of trees. The forest stood still, watching her go, its whispers fading into the breeze. But even as she stepped back toward her cottage, she could still hear it. Faint, distant, yet eternal. The quiet murmur of the woods. It wasn't just the sound of wind through leaves. It was something deeper. Something that spoke to the part of her that always longed for calm. And though she didn't say it aloud, her heart whispered in return, "I hear you." The sea came into view again, vast and blue, stretching into forever. The waves rolled slow and steady, as if echoing the same peaceful rhythm she had found in the forest. Lena stopped at the edge of the cliff, letting the wind play through her hair. Everything, the woods, the ocean, the sky, felt connected like threads of one quiet dream. She stood there for a while, simply breathing, simply being, until the clouds parted and sunlight kissed the water below. It was the same gentle glow she had seen in the forest, the same whisper of light that promised rest. And as she turned back toward her home, Lena realized something she had never truly understood before. The peace she had come searching for wasn't in one place or another. It had been with her all along, waiting patiently to be noticed. That evening, when the stars returned and the sea began to hum its song once more, Lena sat again on the porch with her cup of tea. She could still hear the forest in her memory, its rustling, its whispers, its deep, patient stillness. The same stillness was inside her now. She smiled into the night, her eyes soft and heavy with calm. And as she watched the moon rise over the ocean, she whispered the forest's words one last time. Rest a while. The world will wait. The next morning, the world was hushed beneath a curtain of mist. The sea was a soft gray mirror, and the air carried that gentle stillness that only comes before the sun fully wakes. Lena stood by her window, hands wrapped around a warm cup of chamomile tea. The steam rose like thin threads of silver, drifting slowly upward until they disappeared into the cool air. Everything outside seemed to be holding its breath. The sky, the sea, even the gulls that usually cried at dawn were quiet now. And in that silence, Lena felt something shift inside her. Not a thought, but a feeling, light and unspoken. It was peace, simple and complete, resting in her chest like a soft candle flame. She had dreamt of the forest during the night. In her dream, the trees glowed faintly under moonlight, their leaves whispering like lullabies. The stream had sparkled as it wound through the dark, and somewhere within it, a soft voice had called her name. Not urgently, not loudly, but gently, like the voice of an old friend. When she woke, the sound of that whisper had lingered, as if the forest had followed her home. Lena smiled at the memory now, sipping her tea slowly. Outside, the first hints of sunlight began to melt through the fog, painting the ocean in faint tones of rose and gold. It was the kind of light that didn't rush. It spread quietly, like a deep breath stretching across the horizon. She watched the colors change, her thoughts as slow and soft as the waves. Later that morning, Lena decided to visit the shore again. She wore a light sweater, her hair loosely tied back, and walked barefoot down the narrow path that wound toward the beach. The ground was damp beneath her feet, and each step made a faint, muffled sound. The air smelled of salt, driftwood, and something fresh, like rain on stone. When she reached the beach, the tide was low. Pale shells glimmered in the wet sand, and thin ribbons of seaweed lay like forgotten secrets along the shore. She walked close to the water's edge, her feet sinking slightly with each step, feeling the cold touch of the waves washing over her toes. Each time the water came and went, it carried something away, a thought, a worry, a trace of yesterday. And each time it returned, it left behind calm. Lena breathed deeply, letting the rhythm of the ocean guide her. In out, in out. She could feel her heartbeat sinking with it, the steady pulse of something older and kinder than time. After a while, she found a smooth rock near the shore and sat down. The sky was fully awake now, pale blue brushed with silver clouds. She gazed out over the water, the line of the horizon blurred in the soft light. There was no beginning, no end, just space, just peace. The wind brushed her cheek, carrying a faint scent of wildflowers from the meadow behind her. She closed her eyes, feeling the moment settle around her like a gentle blanket. There was no need to think or plan or chase anything. The world was already complete. For the first time in a long while, Lena felt completely present, not as someone trying to be calm, but simply being calm. It was as if the quiet she'd found in the forest had grown roots within her. She stayed there for hours, watching the tide change, listening to the endless hush of the waves. At one point, she noticed a small feather drifting near her feet. It was white, delicate, and it floated on a thin puddle of seawater, moving gently with the breeze. Lena picked it up, turning it between her fingers. It was impossibly light, softer than her breath. She smiled. It reminded her of the whispers in the forest, that same fragile, fleeting beauty that you can only feel when you slow down enough to notice. She tucked the feather into her sweater pocket, a small reminder of stillness. By afternoon, the light had grown warmer. The fog had lifted, and the cliffs above the beach gleamed like bronze in the sun. Lena began to walk back slowly, feeling the warmth on her shoulders, the sand clinging softly to her feet. As she climbed the path toward her cottage, she thought about how everything seemed to speak the same quiet language. The trees, the sea, even the sky. It wasn't made of words. It was made of rhythm, of breath, of stillness, of gentle repetition. The kind of language that you don't hear with your ears, but with your heart. When she reached her porch again, the kettle was still warm. She poured herself another cup of tea and sat down in the same chair she'd used the night before. The day stretched lazily before her, wide and unhurried. She sipped her tea and closed her eyes, feeling the warmth spread through her hands, her chest, her whole body. The sounds of the world blended together. Waves, wind, distant birds, all moving in one slow, peaceful rhythm. And somewhere in that rhythm, Lena realized she was no longer searching for peace. She was peace. The forest had shown her how to listen. The sea had taught her how to let go. And the morning light had shown her how to begin again, quietly. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, the world softened once more. The air cooler, the shadows longer, the sounds gentler. Lena stayed where she was, watching the golden light fade into blue. She didn't feel lonely anymore. There was no emptiness in the quiet, only fullness, only calm. She whispered softly, "Thank you." Not sure who she was speaking to, the sea, the forest, the sky, or something within herself. Maybe it didn't matter. The world had heard her, and as the evening breeze wrapped around her like a lullaby, she felt a deep, unshakable truth settle in her chest. Peace doesn't come from finding a place. It comes from finding your breath. The first stars began to appear, faint, patient, shimmering like tiny lanterns in the twilight. Lena stood, stretching slowly, feeling her body loosen and relax. She looked out at the horizon one last time before heading inside. The ocean was dark now, but still moving, still alive. Its voice, that soft, endless hush, followed her as she went to bed. She lay beneath her blanket, eyes half open, watching the moonlight spill across the floor. Her last thought before sleep was a simple one, as soft as the tide. Everything is okay. Everything will be okay. Night returned like a sigh, slow, gentle, and full of peace. The last traces of sunlight faded over the horizon, leaving the world wrapped in the tender blue of twilight. From her window, Lena watched the stars begin to bloom across the sky. One by one, they appeared, tiny glimmers of light scattered across the vast darkness, each one flickering as if breathing softly. The air was cool now, and the scent of the sea drifted through the open window. Waves rolled against the shore in steady rhythm, the same quiet pulse that had cradled her since the first night she arrived. She breathed deeply, in and out, slow, easy, peaceful. The world had grown still again, but it wasn't an empty stillness. It was full, alive, comforting. Lena moved to the small wooden chair on her porch. A light blanket rested across her shoulders, and a candle flickered beside her. The flame danced gently, painting soft golden shadows across the floorboards. Somewhere nearby, crickets began their song, steady and low, like a lullaby woven into the night air. And beyond them, the waves continued to whisper. Everything was slow. Everything was kind. She took a sip of warm lavender tea, the scent filling her lungs, soothing her from the inside out. As she stared out at the horizon, the line between sky and sea blurred completely, as if the world itself had decided to exhale, to rest, to dissolve into stillness. She thought of the forest again. The way the light had filtered through the trees, the way the stream had hummed, the way every sound had been soft but alive. She thought of the words carved into the fallen log. Rest a while. The world will wait. And now, sitting beneath the stars, those words felt like a promise, one that the ocean, the forest, and the night all seemed to keep. Everything that needed to be done could wait. Every worry could sleep. Every noise, every thought could drift away like leaves carried by the wind. The world would wait. Lena closed her eyes. Behind her eyelids, the night became a soft blur, the rhythm of waves, the warmth of her tea, the whisper of the breeze. Her breath matched the ocean's. Out, in, out. She imagined herself floating on calm water, the surface cool beneath her palms, the stars reflected all around. Each wave lifted her slightly, then set her gently down again, a cradle made of light and sound. The water wasn't cold. It was soothing, like being held by something vast and safe. She let her thoughts drift one by one, like petals on the tide, until there were no thoughts left, only peace. The candle beside her flickered lower, its flame shrinking to a tiny golden heart before finally going out. Darkness settled softly over the porch, over the cottage, over the sea. But it wasn't the kind of darkness that hides things. It was the kind that protects, that holds, that comforts. The stars shimmered more brightly now, their light scattered across the ocean's surface. The moon hung low and full, casting a silvery path over the waves, a bridge of light that seemed to lead straight into the horizon. Lena smiled faintly, her eyes still closed. The sea's lullaby wrapped around her like a blanket. Everything was slow. Everything was peaceful. In her mind, she walked once more through the forest. Each step was soft, muffled by moss. The air smelled of pine and rain. She could hear the stream again, that steady song of flow and surrender. And then the whisper, faint but clear. The same whisper she had heard before. It wasn't words exactly, but she understood it. It said, "You're safe. You can rest now. You're home." Her breathing deepened. The night sky, the sea, the forest, they all seemed to merge within her, forming one great rhythm of peace. It was as if the whole world was breathing with her. Every sound softened, every thought faded, until there was only stillness, vast and endless. Even time seemed to pause. There was no past, no future, only the quiet beauty of now. Far below, the tide reached its calmest point. The waves became slower, smaller, softer, as if the ocean itself were falling asleep. The cricket's song grew faint. The wind gentled to a whisper. Even the stars seemed to dim slightly, their light melting into the deep velvet of the night. The world was resting, and so was she. Lena shifted slightly in her chair, her body heavy with calm. Her blanket slipped higher over her shoulder, and she sank deeper into stillness. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, the kind of smile that doesn't need reason, only peace. She whispered, barely audible, "Good night, ocean, good night, forest, good night, world." And finally, good night me. For a long time, there was only quiet. Then, like the softest wave washing over the shore, sleep came, slow, deep, and warm. The stars continued to shimmer above her, keeping watch. The ocean hummed its endless lullaby below, and the night held her gently, like the earth holding a single falling leaf. The world was still, and she was home.